break it all down. The Vault Studio, the best show in town. Let's show in town. Lights on, mic check. Game time, let's go. Jay George, Scotty running the show. Rock on the mix, keeping it tight. NFL talk every day, every night.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Vault Studio. And it's time for yet another edition of the NFL podcast. Unfortunately, you have the pleasure of my voice again for intros this week. We're elbow deep in the post-draft blues, but not to worry, the infamous Vault Studio Rat Pack is here to cure your off-season woes. We're like the Frank Sinatra Rat Pack, but with even more alcoholism, nicotine addiction, and STDs. Now let's go around the room. To my right is a man who I have on good authority has shot to the top of the list of contenders to be the next Pope. Please welcome the holiest of holies, James Arthur. Bless you. Bless you, my child.
You know, he's done the groundwork.
Pope draft is on.
To my left is someone who is still basking in his post-draft glow after spending the last week and a half stroking to Nick Emenwari highlights whilst using a framed photo of Sam Darnold as an aphrodisiac. Welcome, Scotty.
And Jalen Milrow, obviously.
Yeah, I think Scotty's off. I think he's on Jalen Milrow.
Straight on to Jalen Milrow.
Yeah.
You cheating whore. On the board, we've got a young man who might need to be placed on suicide watch after he was spotted holding a candlelight vigil at the front of his local massage parlor in solidarity with his fallen comrade. Please welcome Brocky.
It's been a tough day, George. Okay.
As for me, you all know who I am, and I'm just fucking happy to be here. We're back, baby. Let's go.
Oh, that's outstanding, George.
Little clap.
Clap him up.
Very good.
That was very good.
One more thing off the top before we get going. We've cracked 100 followers on TikTok.
Yes.
So basically, what that means is we're resigning our jobs as of the end of this podcast and becoming full-time podcasters.
I was on 3 days ago.
Oh
And
well,
if you have
classic James ahead of the curve.
Bash the bell.
bash the bell, get around it. Tell someone else about it.
Just like, subscribe so that we can retire and do this full time, and then you can have more hilarity like this.
Yeah, no, shout out to everyone on the social medias. We've had a lot of interaction. It's been really good. YouTube's been getting a ton of interaction as well, which has been really cool. I post the clips, guys, and I put questions when I post the clips. I want you guys to answer them, disagree with us. One guy disagreed with Scotty last week, saying that Brian Dable...
I'll never see it.
Brian Dable was the pioneer for turning Josh Allen around, and he said that there was way better guys at turning around quarterbacks than Brian Dable. And I responded saying, I said, yeah,
retention is not your strong point.
Yeah, you're right. There was a lot of guys that turned around quarterbacks, and Dable's one of them that turned around Josh Allen. And I said, listen with your ears, big fella. But it's been great. It's been great. I got a quick shout out I want to do before we launch into the news. Shout out to one of our listeners, my brother. Played his 150th game for old Carey on the weekend.
Hey.
I think he's only the 17th player to ever play in a 50-year-old club, to play 150 games. Scotty came out and watched him with me.
Oh, mad invite. Thanks.
He put on an absolute, and I don't like talking up how well he played because he's an absolute, he just never lets me hear the end of it.
He's
But
a tool.
It was one of those, yes, it was one of those ones where we literally couldn't say.
It was undeniable.
Dominated. The VAFA website even shared his stats.
Wow.
34 possessions, 94% efficiency.
Wow.
And kicked a goal from about 40 out on the run, which, it went through.
How many ranking points just for
149 out of 150 possible points.
Wow.
You had the boys down there, Jay and all that came.
Yeah,
down,
all the
and
boys
they
down there
were
watching him.
Giving out some absolute pearlers the other team.
I can imagine.
It was pretty funny.
Good
I
fun.
love it.
Good fun.
It was a good day. And
Shout out.
congratulations. You got to reward those things. I think Scotty's mic might be a little bit too low as well, Brocky. I can't hear him that well. Fucking
Talking to the fucking mic, Scott.
Whoa.
yeah,
I'll
turn your
swallow
brain on.
Brock's upset.
well,
He's on a knife edge.
Let's get in.
Oh, boys, we got some breaking news here.
Here we
Whoa,
go.
really?
Breaking news. George Pickens traded to the Cowboys for a third round and a couple pick swaps.
Whoa.
Wow.
Hey, J.A., this is a family-friendly show, so don't keep your pants on, Matt.
I wore my shorts
let's
today.
hear
I
it.
probably shouldn't have.
What's your initial reaction, man?
My initial reaction, I did get wind of this earlier today. There was rumors of it.
Okay.
I thought at first, I'm like, I don't know if they'll do it. For a third round pick, I think it's an outstanding move. I think Pickens fits the bill for what we require at wide receiver. We obviously have CD Lamb, who's a great slot player. You can move him around a lot. what we've really missed since Michael Gallup was healthy was a guy that could go deep, tall, give Prescott that player that if he's one-on-one and there's nothing else available, just like, you know what, let's take a chance.
Genuine X.
Yep, he can get penalties because he's a big guy.
Also gives penalties.
Yeah, we have to all understand, Cowboys fans, he is going to hurt us a couple of times this season.
Yeah.
We know that. But anytime you can add a quality wide receiver to a team who is wide receiver desperate, I think he's an upgrade on Cooks from last year.
Absolutely.
And I think for a third round pick, I know he's going into his fourth year, so they can fifth year option him as well. But I would say that he's going into a contract year. It gives them a good gauge of, all right, let's see where he's at and let's see if we want to pay him. I would say it's unlikely we pay him because we probably won't have the cap.
I don't think you trade for him, not with the idea of signing him.
Yeah, but like I wouldn't. If he plays really well, like a Waddle sort of contract would be fine. I don't think he's going to get the $30 million mark.
So
but
no.
I said the cap keeps going up. The salary cap is a myth.
You
It
also
doesn't
got to pay
exist.
Micah as well.
Yeah, they're going to pay Micah next year. But what it tells me is that the Cowboys, everyone thought they'd go receiver in the draft. From all reports, they were going to take McMillan, and then the Panthers took him. That they basically had him written on the sheet already to draft him. So they went O-line again. They've built their core, and their one weakness was wide receiver on offense. And running back's not great, but they've got a few okay guys there. But this is obviously why they didn't address the wide receiver position in the draft, because they know they want to play strong defense, and they've drafted guys to do that. They want to have a strong offensive line to keep Dak healthy, and then they want receivers they can get the ball to. And Pickens is a of all the guys that you could get available. I was thinking they'd sign an Amari Cooper or a Keenan Allen. This is a massive upgrade on both of those guys. And for a third round pick, I just
third round pick.
Yeah.
I just don't think it's much to pay.
At this point, it could be pick swaps as well. But
If there's any swaps, though, if they're like swapping second round picks, I'd say it might work in the Cowboys' favor. They might get a better pick from that.
Then there won't be pick swap.
It might be.
You aren't going to get the better pick out of the two.
No, it'll probably just be. Yeah. So I'd like to say I don't have much of a problem with it at all. I'm quite excited by it, to be honest. It just adds a bit of a dog on that offense as well. Yeah, I'm cool. Like, you look at that now.
Get your mouth guards in with him, mate.
CD Lamb, Pickens, Jake Ferguson. It's not a bad three guys to feed the ball to. I'm certainly not against it at all. Does anyone have a problem with it? No.
Not for a third round pick. I
do from the Steelers' point of view.
I don't get it from the Steelers.
Yeah,
actually.
I don't get it from the Steelers' point of view because he gave up a second rounder for DK and then signed him for $30 million a year. And then we're all expecting Rodgers to sign there and to throw to this two-headed monster receiving duo, and now you just trade him away for what we've all sort of said is unders. So
yeah, I would have thought I think when we talked about it before it got released and we didn't know the pick.
Yeah.
I said if it was anything but a first round pick, I'd be okay with it. Third, I'm very okay with.
Yeah.
Considering they gave up a fourth round pick last year for Mingo. Like that obviously, I guess what we know with the Steelers now is that the DK Metcalf trade and move was a replacement for Pickens, not to work with Pickens. It was we're going to pay this guy the money. We're not going to pay Pickens, and when we find a suitor, we're going to move him. And they kept that pretty hush-hush, which is,
Well, you never know. The Cowboys could have just gone, hey, we really wanted a receiver. None of the receivers fell to us that we liked. Let's test the waters out there.
Yeah.
Because I feel like if he was on the market, that if you're competing against teams like the Patriots and
you might have
the Chargers, a few other teams, that I reckon that they'll probably give up a second.
That's the biggest surprise. Like, they obviously didn't do much shopping for him, because I would have thought the Chargers, Patriots, Browns, plenty of teams would have been interested in giving up a second round pick for him.
Possibly do with his PR.
No, probably not. Not with Deshaun Watson in there. And they're probably going to sign Justin Tucker pretty soon.
Yeah. No, they'd have to, naturally.
Wow. Naturally.
Yeah.
And that brings us to our second topic.
Beautiful segue. Just going to be
Justin Tucker released by the Ravens.
Shocking move.
This will be his biography, released by the Ravens. A football decision.
Well, they made it. They wanted to make it clear in the press conference that this was a football decision.
If this was a football decision, they would have cut him 3 months ago.
Yeah, no shit.
No one's fooled by this.
They would have cut him halfway through the season.
Fair.
Can I tell you what I think?
Yeah.
Can I tell you what I think?
Yeah, tell us. That's the podcast, George. You're allowed to give us your opinion.
Fair. Certain positions across the team have certain different levels of leeway.
Yeah.
Like your starting quarterback has X amount of leeway and your kicker has Y amount of leeway. Now, he was obviously given a bit more rope last year with all the misses because of his Hall of Fame level career. But I think once you start adding the misses and then you start adding all this other off-field shit,
Mm.
it just got to a point where, like, do we have to deal with this anymore? No, we can draft a guy in the 4th round or the 5th round or whatever
Well,
they
they got a
did.
guy in the 6th round.
6th round, sorry. Yeah, they
Yeah,
got a guy in the
basic.
6th round.
Yeah.
We can just move on from this. Like, we don't need this in our building anymore, especially for a team like the Ravens who aren't normally associated with a lot of off-field shit,
Yeah.
really.
No,
So-
it's fair.
They gave him enough rope, and it's like, well, now we just got to let you go, buddy. Sorry.
Yeah, I think if he didn't have this off-season drama, he's on the team still.
Yeah, I agree. That's my point. That's exactly my point.
Scotty had a
No,
little
I'm
smirk.
just chuckling to myself. It's all good. Yeah, I think the reason
Please share.
why I can't.
Ah,
No, so I think part of the reason why he got such a long leash was that he's probably the best kicker in history.
agreed.
And he was a shoe-in Hall of Famer. So, but it just goes to prove in the business of NFL, once you're not performing at that elite level, you are expendable. And if there's any off-field stuff, you're gone.
Yeah.
And again, the Ravens keeping true to themselves, just fuck up the whole process completely.
Yeah.
Allegations come out. They know about it. It's documented that they know about it.
Is there
for
more
years.
coming? So have they got wind of more?
Oh, I don't.
Have they gone? Were they
I'd be
comfortable
up for
with what
speculating.
everyone knew at this point? And then, because we know the NFL PR teams get wind of this, whether a reporter or someone,
Yeah.
they call them because they've got a relationship with these guys that
Yep.
they give them news, they break
They,
news.
they understand
So,
where their money comes
Yeah,
from.
so if they
Yeah.
hear something, they actually call the Ravens and go, look, we've just had this come in.
Mm.
You might want to, I'm going to release it in 24 hours. You might want to get ahead of this.
Sure,
It's
sure,
not going to shock me if some more stuff comes out. I got another big question for this. Does this end his Hall of Fame candidacy? Does he not make Hall of Fame? Because a lot of worse people have made the Hall of Fame than
I think
than
it
him.
does, yes. Because I think, and we've said it before, and my stance hasn't changed, that the Hall of Fame now takes more into account on off-field stuff.
Yeah.
But I think in the 80s and 90s and all of that, there was a lot of bad shit going around. And also, there wasn't maybe the evidence that everyone can prove now.
Yes.
So
yeah,
I
that's
think
fair.
now the
I think society
identity-
hadn't caught up either. Like, there's a lot more, like, talk about that kind of stuff now. It's a lot more out in the open. A lot of people are more against it for good reason, obviously, as well. Whereas in the 90s, things were kind of like, maybe it was kind of like looked at and, it's not that big of a deal. Where
it's
obviously-
just boys being
obviously,
boys.
yeah,
They're all right.
Yeah.
obviously
Yeah.
it is a big deal. Like, you can't force yourself onto women and that kind of stuff. Like,
Yeah.
that's very bad, obviously. But yeah, I don't think it ends is purely because nothing's been proven yet. It's all allegations.
Mm.
But I think
Like,
at
I can
this
allege
point-
anything. It can just be baseless.
At,
Like, it
at
means nothing.
some point when there's 16 allegations, you got to go, wow.
Look, I don't disagree with you, but what I'm saying is that
beyond
nothing's been proven. It's all just.
Is he still?
it's all
He's
hearsay.
still. Brocky, you might know this better. Is he still denying it?
Either he hasn't made any other statements since the second one he made.
He's gone a little bit quiet on it.
Yes. No, but he came out and vehemently denied all of it. Like,
Yes.
he said, this is
He-
all complete.
he said it
completely
twice.
false.
You got to remember, this was the last allegation of this was 2016 as well. So this is
Yeah,
over
correct.
9 years ago. So if it is a football decision, I wouldn't be surprised if the NFL were going to make a call on this and the Ravens just said, fuck it, let's just draft one, get one in the building. If it doesn't work now, we can just pick someone else up. But they had to get someone in first.
The shit thing what the Ravens have done here is we knew the allegations during the season, and then they swept it under the rug a little bit, and then they've turned around at the end of the season, have gone.
Talking to your fucking mic.
I'm almost swallowing it. What else do you
Oh.
want?
Oh, Scotty,
Damn,
wrong
Scotty.
wrong pot. That's for after the podcast.
No, I was going to say turn the cameras off, but no. Keep it on.
We're gonna go viral.
No, but I've forgot my train of thought. So they knew about
Got
it
it.
during the season,
Yeah.
and then at the end of the season, they said, "Oh, we'll let the NFL do their interviewing and do their
Sure.
process and all of that." And now you come out after the draft and say, "Oh, well, now it's a football decision." Sorry, it was a football decision 3 months ago.
Yeah, I agree. They've slept on it.
All you've done is just poor. You've had a poor process throughout the whole thing, and it's just typical. Like, they're generally a pretty buttoned up organization, but these things that are really bad, they seem to drop the ball on all the time.
I think they're
It's
a
little
bit.
disappointing.
I think just they're a bit too loyal at times.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
That's
Yeah, what I'm
that's the
thinking.
problem. They're just a little bit too loyal to their long term players, which again can be a good thing, but sometimes it can back. They were probably sitting there. They probably talked to Justin Tucker, and he said, "No, I didn't do anything. It's all bull crap." Oh well, it's been 9 years, nothing's come out. Then bang, it all comes out. It's like conveniently when he's
Well, that's
starting
the
to
other thing
struggle.
as
Like,
well.
do you
Well,
think
that's what
they
I'm saying.
maybe
If
released
he's
it?
if he's not struggling, if he's still at the peak of his powers, are they cutting him? I
No.
don't think so.
He
No
kicked
way.
it. He kicked it 72% last year as well.
Yeah, it makes a difference.
I think they are.
You think they are still cutting him?
Yep.
I
think so.
I'm not so sure.
I have a theory
Because
to
the
put my
Texans got rid of their QB1, who was probably a top 5 QB at the time.
yeah,
and I'm
true.
going to say that a top 5 QB and where Justin Tucker was this year are completely different in the realm of importance on the team.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. No, you're probably right. They probably
They're
were
definitely
looking to do
cutting
this
him,
anyway.
for sure.
Anyway, it's the end of an era. Look, I will just say that Justin Tucker's been a fantastic football player, and it's sad that it ends like this, and it's sad that his reputation's now rightfully going to be tarnished for a long time. Because
Rightfully?
rightfully, yeah.
Why?
Because he's done the wrong thing.
But nothing's been proven.
Yeah.
Well,
James.
You
Yeah, but
can't.
how easy is it to sweep things under the rug?
You can't
for
just- you
these
can't-
athletes?
There's too many allegations, and there's too much evidence now to say that it. You reckon all these people are just making it up?
and all these
George, you're a smart guy.
I
You
am a
don't
smart
think they're
guy,
all
but
making
like
it
what
up.
I'm saying is there's a thing called due process. Like,
Yeah.
you can't just immediately hang a guy just because someone
But-
said something.
Like
Because
employees,
people have said plenty of things about me that aren't true. So, like, what does that mean?
But
That I'm guilty as well,
no, but
or
employees,
vice versa.
employees don't have to follow the judicial system. They can go off hearsay and rumor. They don't have to follow the
Employers,
employers. Sorry, employers.
right? But that's professionally. I'm talking about it can't tarnish him personally.
I
because
I guarantee you
proven.
now, when everyone talks about Justin Tucker till the day people stop talking about him, this will be the first thing they talk about.
Yeah, well,
That he will be called. Look, we do it. We call him Justin Tucker now.
yeah.
A year ago, we wouldn't have even thought that would be what we'd be talking. We would be celebrating him for years to come about how
All-
good a kicker he was.
Yeah,
All
but
I'm
you guys
saying
fucking suck. That's why you call him Justin Tucker. You're just trying to get a rise out of me. I'm on to you boys.
All I'm saying is you can't hang a guy without hard evidence.
No, but you say I'm wrong. This is going to be what always hangs over.
Yeah,
him?
but we live in a fucking shit social media society where everyone's guilty of everything. Like it's
Yeah.
crazy,
I just think
and people are always ready to.
It's the same with
ready to throw
Deshaun
the
Watson.
first stone.
It's the same with Deshaun Watson. He's always going to be remembered for what he did as well.
Yep.
And nothing there was proven either. It's the same situation. It's what everyone remembers him as. He's tarnished with that brush now.
Yeah, but I bet if he was playing well, everyone would have forgotten about it already.
Yeah, Tyreek Hill. It's called the Tyreek Hill rule.
Yeah.
You can just do whatever you want if you're still good. Like when Tyreek
So-
Hill finishes playing football, everyone will go back to remembering him as a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Because he'll probably keep doing piece of shit things, but he won't be a football player anymore.
Just to wrap this up,
Yep.
is Tucker on a team this season?
No, he's done.
Nah, I think
He's
he's done.
Done?
I think if he's smart, he comes out and retires now.
Yeah,
if he's
fair.
smart.
What's happened to my mic?
I think the Ravens have forced his issue. He's done.
Yeah, I think
okay.
so too.
All right, okay.
I just want, before we move on, I just
Yeah.
want to salute his career. 89.1% field goal, the best in NFL history.
Mm.
And he has the longest field goal of 66 yards, which wasn't in Denver as well. It was indoors at Ford Field. So, love you,
More
Justin Tucker.
importantly, 100% strike rate at the massage parlors.
Well, we don't know that, though. He could have been going worse.
I can't see.
All right, let's get on to the next topic. Bill is still the ultimate coxman.
Oh, we have to talk about the interview he did where he
Oh, the CBS
the
morning
CBS
interview, yeah.
morning interview. So it's Bill
This is fucking
Belichick,
weird.
an intimate one-on-one interview where he's, as usual, Bill Belichick's giving absolutely nothing to every single
Did you see
question.
that he was wearing a ripped jumper?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
What was that about?
Like Old Navy.
He was ripping, a Navy, like not just like an Old Navy, the brand, a Navy team.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, with a
fucking-
whole, it looked 40 years old. And it didn't, it was kind of just a ho hum interview. Again, typical Bill Belichick, not giving much away until they start talking about his 24-year-old girlfriend. And then Bill got very uptight about it.
You could tell that he
and-
tightened up a little bit.
And,
Yeah.
and then his girlfriend, who is also his manager or producer, something.
I think her official role is social media manager.
Yeah.
No, it's CEO of Bill Belichick Enterprise
Oh
is
my
what her
God.
role is.
Oh my.
So
anyway,
the interviewer then asked
Lobbing
him,
that knob.
how did you meet your girlfriend? And she pipes up from over on the side and says,
from
we're
off stage,
from off stage, we're not talking about that.
Yeah,
We're not talking about that. We told
That's-
basically like, we told you we're not talking about that. We're not talking about it. And then it got very awkward. I didn't see anything else after that. That was just, that was it for me. That was enough. But
Give me 1 minute and I'll have the video ready to go.
Thank you,
but-
thank you, Brock.
do we think there's a bit like it's the arrangement we all think it is?
Look, I've got my thoughts, and I'm pretty sure they're correct. I'm almost certain that she's some sort of high class escort, and as a result, like she's she's sort of latched onto the old guy, and he's sort of like maybe like fallen in love with her a little bit, and
That's fine too.
she's along for she's along for the ride. She's getting access to places she would never get access to, and he's getting to fuck a hot 24-year-old. Like, let's be honest, bro. Come on, like, what are we talking about here?
It's like every bloke would know the first time you go to the strippers.
No,
Yeah.
I've never been.
Okay. Well,
the strippers don't like you.
Yeah,
they just want your money, bro.
exactly.
What? I am shocked.
You can't save them all. When you fall in love with the first one you meet, and you give her all the money, and she's playing you like a fiddle.
Yeah.
And this is the exact same thing.
100% spot on, Scott.
Yeah,
That's
I
all
Exact
it
same
is.
thing. So
Like, she's giving him that gok 3000 sloppy toppy.
she's
Sloppy
doing things he
toppy.
couldn't imagine
Yeah,
was
that's right.
around anymore.
Ex Mrs. Belichick ain't doing none of that.
Has he ever been married, Bill
Yeah,
Belichick?
he's divorced. He's got 3 kids and divorced.
Jordan was a constant presence during our interview.
You have Jordan right over there. Everybody in the world seems to be following this relationship. They've got an opinion about your private life. It's got nothing to do with them, but they're invested in it. How do you deal with that?
Never been too worried about what everybody else thinks. Just try to do what I feel like is best for me and what's right.
How did you guys meet?
Not talking about this.
No.
No.
Jeez.
It's a topic neither one of them is comfortable commenting on.
Look how stone-faced she is.
Oh,
when
she
said
looked
that.
like a bitch
I'm
there.
telling you, 100%. She's some sort of high-class escort / OnlyFans girl that somehow Bill got a hold of at
Of
some
Raya.
No,
Nah.
yeah, maybe Raya or maybe some rich old guys at a party where they just have young girls there that everyone fucks. more
Apparently
than
they
likely.
met on a plane in 2021,
That's complete horseshit.
flying to Palms Beach, and they were sitting next to each other. They started talking about philosophy.
That's
That's how it started.
complete
She-
horseshit.
I could imagine you'd have a great conversation with Bill Belichick on a plane. He'd be a sparkling guy to sit next to.
99% chance it's some rich old guys party where they've got a bunch of hot 20-year-olds there that all the old guys get to fuck.
But
and he
couldn't-
fell in love with her.
So
Simple
then
as that.
my question is, why is she so cagey about it? Just be like, we met on a plane.
Because
reflects badly on her.
the men
I think
on the
there's more
plane,
to it.
Of course,
I
no,
think
she
there's-
doesn't want it spoken about because there's more to it.
Yeah,
That's why.
definitely. It was very bizarre. It was the strangest Bill Belichick interview I've ever seen, and he was very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Everyone jump on YouTube. If you're on Spotify, watch it on the video and check the video out. You've probably all seen
Probably.
it, but it's
She's
very
probably getting
cagey.
pegged with a gimp mask on and
Hey, like,
doesn't want it to come out.
Don't yuck Bill's yum.
yeah, like he can
Or
do
Shay
he can
Shays.
do what well that's whatever. He can do whatever he wants. But like don't pretend it's something it's not.
Yes, I think that's
Yeah.
I think everyone kind of thought it was a bit of a fairy tale. It's clearly not a fairy tale.
I said
Who,
this.
who thought it was a fairy tale?
Oh,
Who's
lots-
delusional enough to believe that?
Why do you people? Oh, look, he's finally fallen in love with this young girl.
With someone
Age
older than
has
his-
no boundaries.
Older than
Love
his-
has no age
James,
boundaries.
she's 50 years younger.
Yeah,
49, George. Come on, mate.
yeah, sure.
Oh.
Learn some math.
Give it a fucking rinse, man.
I just want to bring up two things.
Yep.
One of them, well, not two things. Let's go one thing.
Okay.
I said this to our great mate DS from the Churnside Park Sporting Globe.
Shout out.
It was
shout out to
just a little headline. Bill Belichick and Jordan Hudson stated that Jordan Hudson uses Bill Belichick's Super Bowl jerseys and memorabilia into crop tops to wear.
Oh wow.
I just sent to him going, "Yo, is your boy good?" DS responded with, "Nope, it's weird as heck."
It is.
Who would give you memorabilia? I'd be like, no, you're not wearing that.
Yeah, you're not wearing that. And she's like sewing it. That's fucking weird. The whole
She-
thing's just weird.
She
Yeah.
reported going up $8 million in property is that she's got from dating Bill.
Of course she has.
Of course.
What else is
Because she's giving him that top and he's just forking over cash. and
Yeah,
buying, bro.
he's never been hit like this in his life,
Of course not.
like ever.
She literally sucked his soul out of the tip end of his dick, and now he doesn't know left from right or what's day or night.
Oh,
All right.
and-
all right.
And that's the second thing I actually just remembered.
Yes.
The house that he got caught leaving a year ago on the Ring camera, her house.
Of course.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Telling you, high class escort.
High
Good-
class.
Good work, Detective Jones.
Hey, I still got it.
Still got it. All right, let's get into Brocky's corner.
Shout out to Bill.
Shout out to Bill. Yeah, like I said, you know what? Live your life, Bill.
Yeah,
No judgment here.
there's
Get
no,
after
There's
it,
no
kid.
laws getting broken. It's all happy. Everyone's
Nah.
adults are consenting. Good on him.
Yeah, 100%. Brock, we're into Brocky's corner.
Ooh.
Brocky's Corner, brought to you by
back.
Cali Clothing.
Shout out.
Scotty's wearing the hoodie
Scotty's
right
wearing the
now.
hoodie.
Love
Nice
seeing
hoodie.
it.
Nice hoodie.
Couple new shirts coming out soon. So get around it. Let's go, boys.
Everyone doubted us. We ended Tom Brady's career as a Patriot. We went into Baltimore and defeated the Ravens, and we just came up short in the AFC Championship. I mean, as long as we don't completely mess up this year's draft, we should be a complete contender next year. Really excited about this Isaiah Wilson pick, guys. He's going to be a stud. Hey, over under 5 career total snaps played. Hey, thanks for coming to my office, Jack Conklin. 2 reasons I brought you here. The first reason is to tell you what an amazing job you've done for the past few years and being such a central part of our offensive line. You know, the team loves you, the fans love you. The second thing I wanted to tell you was, you fired Todd Downing. So you really think you have what it takes to be the offensive coordinator of the Tennessee Titans? I do not. All right, sounds good. Guess who just stole the 18th pick of the draft from the Philadelphia Eagles? Let's go. What did we trade them? Don't get mad. Describe your offensive philosophy in a nutshell and how it'll help us elevate our program to be more competitive than it has been. No. When can you start? Relax, it's not that bad of a trade. This guy is supposed to be just as good as A.J. Brown. What's his name? Traylon Burks.
So that was this is a dude, and he does them for every team, and they're
fantastic.
hysterical. That was the 2000. That was the front office after the 2019 Titans season.
They really did fall off there, didn't they?
Yeah, it was very funny. I've watched about 10 of them today. He did one on the Cowboys too. It was very funny. The best one was the Raiders, where it was like Amari Cooper just had his second 1,000-yard season. Like, call the Cowboys.
Call the coroner.
Very good. And we got one more for Brocky's Corner.
Hit it.
That he wants me to read out. I don't know why he wants me to read.
Because I'm retarded if I'm read.
Whoa, Brock. Okay. This is from our boy Tristan Duggan Jones. Two last names are always for the best people. Good evening, fellas. Your friendly neighborhood constable live with news from the Bayou. My meat and potato draft dinner was ultimately a success with hearty picks at pretty much all positions of necessary, minus the side of the couscous in round 2. Now, I don't hate couscous. It just surprised me to see it on the plate. 6'5", handsome, white, and a 4.63 40-yard dash. Fastest quarterback at the combine. With as much experience at quarterback as Brocky in between the sheets. There's a plan here, boys. I just couldn't tell you what it is. I'm sure I'll figure it out before Carr figures out his shoulder hurts. The draft is over, so too is the Saints media coverage. So I'll see you boys after our victory week 1 over literally anyone in the league. Who dat?
Fantastic, JD. Fantastic.
Yeah, keep them coming. They're outstanding.
Yeah, that's great.
Look, we're probably not going to touch on New Orleans much this year, so
no, he's probably pretty spot on.
Yeah.
It's going to be a pretty barren landscape for them.
The best thing for New Orleans is just tank hard, get the best or the second best quarterback, and then rebuild with all the cap space.
Tank for Manning.
Yeah.
Tank for Archie.
Manning's reported going to be a 4-year.
He'd be dumb if he didn't go back next year. With the NIL money now. He'd probably earn more money in college in his 4th year than he will at the NFL on a rookie deal.
Yep.
Like his total earnings in 1 year at college will probably be his whole rookie deal.
Yeah.
So,
but the South Carolina kid's good. The Clemson kid's good. So
yeah, they're
really good quarterbacks.
Do we all think Derek Carr's? Do you think they knew he was hurt?
I don't know. I haven't looked at the contract enough to know why they re-signed him. It must be for dead money or
yeah. I get the
But-
feeling they're not very upset about it.
I think they were hopeful, maybe.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll see. Well, that brings us into our guys. What we're going to do now, obviously, we're into the depth of the off season. So there's not a ton of news going around. We're going to start doing some top 10s. We haven't done these for a few years, so it's going to be a bit of fun to bring them back. We're going to start with just the hot position in the NFL, which is the quarterback position. And we'll do our top 10 quarterbacks. We're going to do it a little bit different. All 4 of us done our own top 10s. And then we've done a composite top 10 based off all of our top 10s to give us a Vault Studio top 10. If we just scroll down a little bit, Brocky, we'll do a couple of honorable mentions. There was only 14 quarterbacks that actually made our top 10s from everyone.
Good spread.
Which was okay. 2 guys tied for 10th, so we'll get to them soon, which leaves us with 2 honorable mentions. Trevor Lawrence was Scotty's. He only won. The only person that had Trevor Lawrence was Scotty. You had him at 7th.
Yep.
Give us your thoughts on it.
Well, I just think I firmly believe that he's got all the tools and he can make every single throw. And the Jags were a little bit in a strange spot last year with Doug Peterson and all of that. And I think that Cohen's a really good offensive mind.
He's a fucking weird looking unit, though. I'll tell you what.
And I think year 2 of Brian Thomas Jr. and now you incorporate
Travis Hunter.
Yep. with all the talent that Trevor Lawrence has, I think he's going to have a very, very solid year.
Yeah, okay.
So I'm projecting that and also in a weak division as well. Like they get to play the Texans. The Colts are okay, but they'll have a softer schedule, and I think he's in a prime position to torch some teams.
Yeah, no, I said I couldn't get him into my top 10, but he wasn't far off it.
Yeah,
I think it could be one of those ones that when we look at this at the end of next season, that you're like, how did none of us have in his top 10 sort of thing? Like, I think he could cement himself in that sort of area. It could also go the other way, which is...
It could, yeah.
And then he could be on another team by the end of next year. That sort of stuff. Could be a Jalen Milroe for Trevor Lawrence trade.
No, we're not getting rid of him.
Straight swap.
No. We'll keep Jalen Milroe, thanks.
They can have Darnold.
2027, we're coming.
They can have Darnold. We don't get rid of
I think about 12th or 13th is about right, to be honest, where we've got him at the moment.
Yeah.
On that list, about 13th is about right.
Yeah. And then we've got our next honorable mention who came in 13th on the list. That's Jaden Daniels. What is his name? Right? I thought his name was something else.
Yes, Jaden Daniels.
Jaden Daniels. Just scroll up, Brocky, so I can see our top 10s. I think just Brocky and George, you both had him at 9th.
Yeah.
I'd say, like, I just want to see a bit more from him. But personally, I think he had a good year on an average team. Like, I think what he did last year was really impressive. I think Washington fans should be
he had
super
an
excited.
Amazing year. That little middle period where his form and his play dipped was purely because of his rib injury. If he didn't get injured, he would have been fucking flying, man.
Yeah, I think they've definitely got a guy. I'm just not ready to put in. Again, I think around 12, 13 is probably the right mark for him. Anyone else got any? Brocky, you had him in your top 10. Any thoughts on Daniels?
I had him. I see him as like a Lamar 2.0 sort of situation. Ooh. Good quarterback, can run with his feet.
Well, no, he can't. He wins playoff games, dude.
Yeah, he actually makes championship games.
What the fuck did I do?
Nothing. You just compared him to Lamar. That's what you did.
Lamar 2.0. He's a second version.
He's got more playoff wins than Lamar already, doesn't he?
Nah, definitely doesn't.
Oh, I don't know.
It's close though.
I'd check that because it'd be fucking close.
Check his MVPs.
It's closer than you want it to be.
A little bit closer. A little bit too close.
A little bit too tight.
Yeah, nah.
And then that brings us to our tie at 10th. Let's start with Dak Prescott. He was a tie at 10. I think I had him at 8. I had him at 8. Scotty had him at 9, and Brocky Boy had him at 10. George, you didn't have him.
He was 11th. He was literally.
So
11th.
He was right
literally
there for you.
On my list.
Yeah. And then I just think my thoughts with Prescott last year, and we and Scotty were talking this the other day actually. Last year he almost disguised. The injuries almost disguised his play at the start of the year because he didn't play very well at all.
That's true.
He was really struggling, but in fairness, no one was playing well on the Cowboys. They kind of played well stupidly down the stretch to keep them alive and cost them some draft spots.
Very odd.
Which was odd, but I guess they're playing to win. I'll never bad.
I think McCarthy was trying to save his job as well.
Yeah, there was a lot going on there. I think that Prescott's. I think around the 10-11 mark, it's pretty fair. I think with a great offense around him, he's going to be a really good player, which we saw 2 years ago where he was an MVP candidate and was just outstanding that a couple of years ago. So I'm still hanging on to that. I've also watched him before that. He had some really good seasons at the Cowboys that kind of get snubbed a little bit.
Yeah, so he had the broken ankle year, but if you look at the body of work, last year was a little bit more of an outlier. So I'm probably projecting a little bit more of a bounce back. And obviously now with Pickens breaking today, that changes things. I think he's almost cemented in the top 10.
Yeah, I disagree. I think that year that he had where he was almost like in MVP contention, I think that year was the outlier.
Oh, I think it's an outlier. But I think he's medium, which is his other years are probably where he's more suited.
So
and he was still very good.
Games where he struggled.
Yeah.
I think that's not him.
No.
But it's not that MVP level's not him either. It's somewhere in the middle.
I don't think
that's why I had him at 11.
I don't think it suits him to be that sort of quarterback. I don't think he's I'm the man quarterback. I think he's a high-end role player. So I think
a high-end system quarterback.
Yeah, a high-end game manager sort of guy. He can make some throws. He can run with it a bit. The broken ankle really hurt his career because he's definitely lost some pace and doesn't run with the ball confidently now, which in his earlier years was one of his strong points. He would run with it more. But yeah, his body of work's been good enough, I think.
On your point about high-end game managers, I had Goff at 10, I had Prescott at 11, and I had Purdy at 12, which I would all call high-end game managers.
Yeah, that's very fair. Yeah, with great talent around them, they can do a good job. That brings us to our next tie at 10, which I think is going to be one of the most contentious topics of the top 10 quarterbacks.
I don't know about most contentious, but anyway.
So Jalen Hurts was tied for 10. Now, everyone can think, oh, yeah, that's fair enough. The interesting part about this is only one person had Jalen Hurts in their top 10, and that was George that had him at 5.
That's right.
I want you to explain to me how Jalen Hurts is a good enough quarterback to be ranked as your 5th player over Herbert, Love, Baker, Daniels, and Goff. How do you think?
Because he's better than all of them.
In what regard?
Because he wins more games and he's a Super Bowl champion and a Super Bowl MVP. And his 3 best games that he's ever played have all been the 3 biggest games of his career. His 2 best games are both in Super Bowls, and his 3rd best game was in the NFC Championship where he torched Washington.
Okay, so if we put him off the best team in football,
but that's not what we're doing here.
Yes, we are. We're ranking individual quarterbacks. We 100% are. That's what this. We're ranking the individual player.
Even if you do that as an individual player, he has all the talent and all the skill set to be a high end quarterback.
But
he is a high end quarterback.
But he just physically doesn't. Like he doesn't have.
But
that
he misses too
set.
many throws. His accuracy is terrible.
He is a below average passing quarterback.
He's actually ranked 22nd for pure passing stats.
Yeah, because of the system that we run, he doesn't need to throw the ball.
The system protects his
Yeah,
deficiencies.
but last year they threw the ball and they failed.
You call it protecting, and that's okay. You can call it that. But what I call it is the game plan is to maximize and utilize his strengths.
So that would make him a high end system quarterback as well.
You could call him that if you want to.
Yeah. So then, how does other high, like as you said with Goff, Prescott, and Purdy? How does that rank him above?
I've ranked him above all those guys for one reason and one reason only, because he's won more than they have.
But that's not fair.
And he's got trophies.
So on that theory, Mahomes would be number 1 for you because he wins all the time too.
No, because I based it off their play from last season.
Hurts wasn't great last season.
Hurts' play was not good, and the season before he was even worse.
Mate, he was Super Bowl MVP, boys.
That doesn't matter. That's not an argument.
It does matter because he torched the Chiefs on the biggest stage. He torched them himself.
He had one 50-yard touchdown that was good.
It doesn't matter. It was still good. He still made the throw.
It was 50 yards.
If you'd had him at 9 or 10, I'd
you guys can say like you can say this and you can say that, and that's fine. Like you guys are, everyone's entitled to their opinion. I'm not here to convince anyone that he's a good quarterback. All I'm saying is the brother just keeps fucking winning. So like, power to him. And at some point, everyone is going to have to recognize that. Hey, look, yeah, he's on a good team, but the guy just keeps winning.
All right, well, I'll put it this way to close off on Hurts. So if we're just talking about QB talent alone, do you think Philadelphia is better with Herbert on your team or Hurts?
I think the way our team is set up, it's set up to maximize Hurts's skill set.
You don't think Herbert could do a better job on the Eagles than Hurts could?
Not with that sort of power running game that we run.
But you don't reckon the play action that Herbert can deliver is better than Hurts?
I think that Herbert is a better thrower of the ball on play action. Yes, I agree, but I think holistically, systemically, Hurts is better suited to the way the Eagles are built.
But then
now.
the Eagles wouldn't need the tush push because they got an accurate.
So I'm not just talking about the tush push, bro.
Most his stats come from the tush push. The tush push inflates his stats through the roof.
Yeah. In terms of what?
So
the rushing touchdowns.
Pro Football Focus have him as the second best running quarterback in the NFL because 70% of his runs end in touchdowns or first downs, which boosts the algorithm. He's actually an algorithm beater, according to Pro Football Focus, because his algorithm doesn't match his output.
Algorithm beater, that's funny.
That's what he is, because he's running backs, right? Running backs get rewarded more points. Obviously, it's going to boost their statistics for first downs and touchdowns, but then they have 150 more carries that then bring it back. And
Sure.
So an algorithm beater is he gets all the highlight, he gets all those boosts from the touchdowns and first downs, but he doesn't get enough carries to drag his average.
Is that a boost because he's just in the right place at the right time, or is it a boost because he's good enough to make the play?
I think a lot of quarterbacks can run the tush push for the Eagles. A lot. I just don't think a lot of teams want to put their quarterbacks.
I'm not talking about you guys are talking about that.
But you're saying you're almost proving the point that he's
he doesn't just run the tush push, like he does run with the ball as well and does make play. He does run through people.
I've watched a lot of Jalen Hurts. And don't get me wrong, I actually quite like Jalen Hurts. I don't have an issue with him. I just think that he's I think 5 is way too high. I think every quarterback in your top 10 is better than Jalen Hurts. If you'd had him at 10, I'd be like, fair enough. I think that's
James,
okay.
That's okay. That's why it's
I
my
think
list
if you
and
had
not
him at
yours.
7 or 8, I would be like, I can see that. Cool.
Yeah, I just think
But-
over.
And if we didn't win the Super Bowl, I probably would have had him at 7 or 8.
But for you,
And his best game of the year was the Super Bowl.
and he played well. But like I was saying, if we're talking about quarterbacking in your list, you've got Hurts above Herbert, Love, and Baker, and I think all 3 of them would make the Eagles far better than what Hurts would.
Yeah, I think so. Anyway, it's just
Hey,
interesting.
like to quote Kanye West, I guess we'll never know.
We will one day.
Well, yeah, we will when the Eagles team gets if the Eagles team gets a little bit worse and he struggles again, which was him the season before last when they were trying to throw the ball and they were literally couldn't do anything because they couldn't rely on him.
Yeah, I think we've learned that lesson.
Yeah. And then again, and that's a credit to the Eagles. I'm not discrediting the Eagles. They
you
went.
can't.
They
You
went.
can't
We've got this guy that can do these things. Let's make sure we build an offense that can do those things.
And maximize.
Yeah, I just think that there's so many better players on that team that would dominate. But anyway, that's enough. He's snuck his way into the top 10 purely off George's. I feel like you put him a little bit higher as well for the algorithm.
No, I told you why.
George is an algorithm beater.
He's the algorithm beater.
Maybe that should be the name of this podcast.
Algorithm beater. It's better than being like Tyreek Hill, who's okay. And
Who's
next,
who's a wife beater.
we'll go to number 9.
or retired for beating your dick.
Scroll down, Brookie, so I can see number 9 because I've forgotten. Number 9, Jared Goff at number 9. We all had Jared Goff on our list, all at either 10 or 9 on our list. I think it's just a credit to Goff that he's just a really good. Oh, sorry, Brocky had him at 6, which was a little bit higher than us. We all had him at 10, and Brocky had him at 6. Brocky, why have you got him a little bit higher than us?
My 6 to 10 could flip either way.
Yeah, there's a lot of that.
That's what it really was.
Pretty much your opinion on anything, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Like
How couldn't you get Kirk Cousins on there, bro?
Yeah.
I almost put Kirk Cousins just for the joke.
Oh, I was waiting for it. It would have been outstanding.
I really like Goff. The way he plays the play action as well. He sells it really well. He's got a good deep ball. He's got an accurate underneath ball. He's a very good quarterback. He could have been 6, 7, 8 for me.
Yeah. I think we've all got Goff in the same sort of thought process that he's just a really talented game manager that can do a lot with a really good offense. He can obviously be extremely productive.
I think he's better than a game manager.
Yeah,
I don't
I think it's probably we're probably using that term a bit unfairly.
Yeah.
Every guy that we've talked about tonight are better than a game manager. A game manager's like
Don't make him
Gardner
mistake.
Minshew. Don't stop. Like, I see the perfect game manager in the NFL right now is Cooper Rush. He is a game manager. He's not going to do anything but just do what he's got to do. He's not very talented. But I think Goff's probably a bit better than that. He was in MVP contention at points last year.
He's back-to-back seasons of throwing over 4,700 yards. Or
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, something. I think it was 4-5. Yeah,
4-5. That's pretty impressive.
No doubt about it.
Yeah, like you said, I think that he's probably not a product of his environment. I think he could be this good in any environment, but the environment around him suits him dramatically.
and he had some. In fairness to him, his Super Bowl playing for the Rams kind of tarnished his entire Rams career.
Pretty good.
He had some very good seasons for the Rams.
Yeah.
Like he got them to a Super Bowl. You don't suck getting a team to a Super Bowl.
Of course not.
So, and again, he's taken the Lions on a couple of deep playoff runs as well. When, again, we all know when Stafford was traded, everybody thought, they're just throwing in Goff as they can use him as a bridge quarterback for a year and draft someone.
Literally to the Wolves. Yeah.
And he played himself into a massive contract, played himself into being Dan Campbell's guy, which I imagine isn't easy to do. I think you got to do a lot of the right things for Dan Campbell to back you in the way he backs Jared Goff in. So I think that's a pretty impressive feat from him. And like I said, he's just an enjoyable guy to watch. And maybe because he's on Detroit, but he's just enjoyable. I've got a lot of time for him. Brocky scrolls down again so we can get number 8. Number 8's Baker. And I think we all had him all around the same spot. I had him at 9. Scotty didn't have Baker. George had him at 8 and Brock had him at 8. What you have him because you're the biggest Baker fan of all of us.
Biggest Baker fan.
I was shocked you didn't.
I'm
have
shocked
him.
you couldn't sneak him in. Yeah.
No, I
Over Lawrence. Crazy.
I just think that
He had a fucking good year. And the year before he had a good year too.
Yeah.
I just think that the leap that Lawrence is going to have is going to outdo Baker.
He chips in on Lawrence. I don't see it.
No, you
Yeah.
like Lawrence. You've liked Lawrence for
Yeah, I know
a
that.
long time.
I'm agreeing. He
Yeah.
has. I just don't see it.
This is probably the make it or break it year, but I think this is the year where he probably goes for 4,500, 35 tutties, and he cements himself as that. You should have been the number one pick.
Yeah.
And I
Are you
think
talking about Lawrence? Is that
Lawrence,
I'm
yeah.
talking about Lawrence. So that's why I had him over. And I think Prescott and Goff deserve to be in the top 10, which leaves Baker out.
Yeah, it's not that he's not deserving of your top 10. He just was a little bit behind a couple other guys.
Yeah.
Which is pretty like these guys that are in the back end of the top 10, they're all pretty similar thought process about them. Baker on his best day is an outstanding quarterback and can play like one of the best quarterbacks in football. But Baker on his worst day can also be pretty bad. He has some bad days out there.
Definitely between his floor and his ceiling, there's a big gap. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And it's not that. I think Baker, he just wins a game in a different way. It's like gritty. It's running for a first down and running over a defender. And you look at his stats and it might be like, 280 for 2 or something like that. He doesn't blow you off the park with the stat sheets. And when we start going back through the top 10s, the stats probably outweigh anything else. And I think if I'm projecting Lawrence, like I said, that's probably going to have more weight in how I'm going to look at it all.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
So
I was
Baker. Like I said, biggest Baker fan. I've always loved him. I love the way he goes about it. It's just with the receivers getting older as well, it might just drop off a little bit. And yeah,
no, that's fair enough. 7th on our list, the Texans, CJ Stroud. When I was thinking about doing my top 10, I actually didn't think I'd get Stroud on my top 10 when I started thinking about it.
I didn't get him in.
And then, then it turns out that I had him at 6. Scotty had him at 7. Brock, did you have Stroud? No, Brock. So Brock and George both didn't have Stroud, which is probably kind of the polarizing factor. Can I just give my 2 cents on why I had him? Please. I thought the injuries he had last year at the wide receiver position, he missed Nico Collins for a whole chunk of the year. Stephon Diggs got injured very early in the season, which we don't know how it would have panned out, but I can't imagine it would have been bad having Stephon Diggs.
It would have been better than what he had.
100%. And then Tank Dell's injury middle of the season really hurt him because Tank Dell was his security blanket. Dalton Schultz missed a ton of games, and they didn't get the offensive line right. He was one of the most pressured quarterbacks in the NFL, and it affected him. What I liked about Stroud was when playoff time came, we all thought the Chargers were going to beat the Texans in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's true.
He stepped it up. He played at a higher level despite all the issues he had on that offense, mainly the offensive line. He played at such a high level in that game that I was like, if you put him on a great team, I think you put him on the Bengals, right? I think he's doing what Burrows did last year or close enough to it to be like
that's a bit of a leap, I think.
I think CJ Stroud's that good a player.
But I think I get your point, and I tend to agree as well. The reason why I had him at 7 is typically these rookie quarterbacks, when they come into the league and they set the world on fire, they're set up for a sophomore slump. The DCs get paid way too much money not to game plan against these guys. Mm-hmm. And then in the 3rd and 4th year, they usually counter that, and then their game's pretty complete. So it's sort of, I guess I'm projecting with the 2 receivers they got in the 2nd and 3rd round, which I'm really high on, Higgins and I can't remember the other guy. Nico Collins comes back healthy.
Tank Dell probably won't play next year.
Yeah, that's a shame.
Sucks.
I'm a big Tank Dell guy. I really, really like him. He's a really likable guy.
They've been unlucky at receiver because they had that Mechie as well, who
after
they drafted him got diagnosed with cancer. He came back this year and played a bit down the stretch, but
a bit of a kick return.
It's unlikely he's going to end up becoming a really good player. What he probably could have projected to be because he was a stud at Alabama. They did trade for Christian Kirk as well, which I like. We just look at the depth chart now.
Jalen Noel, yeah. So Jalen Noel and Jaden Higgins are the 2 draft picks that are really good. So,
and they're speaking that Tank Dell is going to start the season on IR and probably not come off it at any point.
Yeah,
which is it sucks because he's had 2 knee injuries now and played so well in between those injuries that it's. I hope he doesn't become like
a what if.
Yeah, I just don't want him because I think he's too good. But again, it's the nature of the NFL. Unfortunately, you lose 5%, you very quickly go from being a really good player to irrelevant, which is hard. But I like the Christian Kirk move. I think that's a good weapon for them. I said John Mechie's in there. I think I just think CJ Stroud's talent all around and his rookie year and then his back end of last year. I was impressed with what he did, and that's why I got him in there. And I didn't think I would until I really started looking into it over the last couple of days, and I thought, how do I leave this guy out?
Yeah.
George, you left him out. Any
I left him out
specific reason?
basically just because of that sophomore slump. He did really struggle. I mean, obviously there was mitigating factors around it, but looking at his play, because I heavily weighted my list on play,
Quarterback win.
on quarterback plays.
Yeah.
Super Bowl wins.
He basically went Super Bowl wins makes you the best, and nothing else
Super Bowl
matters.
win, MVP.
I should have put him number one just to really annoy you guys.
We would have had a really deep discussion about that.
Yeah, but
There would have been intervention battle.
I would imagine lay on the couch and be like, now, George, why do you feel this way? With Jalen Hurts the Jalen Hurts cutout leaning over you. We almost killed my dog earlier.
I obviously had we won't get into that and what I said.
No, we won't.
So he obviously had a sophomore slump. He really struggled, so I couldn't get him on there. Guys, there was 10 guys that played better than him.
I think that's fair enough too.
Is he someone that you could think quite easily could jump onto it next year?
Of course he can.
Yeah. Like
if he didn't have those injuries, even with a shitty O-line, if he didn't have all the injuries that he had on his skill guys, he's probably on like he would be on the list.
Yeah. That's fair enough.
Yeah.
Let's go to our number 6. I think it's Justin Herbert number. Now, just so everyone knows, with the points, so we did the point system, the composite points made our thing. So if you were number 1, you got 10 points. If you were number 10, you got 1 point. There's a massive jump now. So every guy we've just talked about all had single digit points. Stroud being 9. It was 9, 8, 8, 6, and 6 for Prescott and Hurts. We now jump to Herbert, who has 20 points. So there's a significant jump in the next 6 quarterbacks.
Next 6 quarterbacks.
And how we rank them, because we all had them. We all liked them a lot, obviously, because we've all got them on our big. And it was Herbert that came in at 6. I had him at 5. Scotty had him at 6. George had him at 6, and Brock had him at 7. So we've all got him around the right spot. Can I just give my projection on why I think we all have him there, and you guys can tell me if we agree or not? I think he's probably a top 2 or 3 quarterback if he has outstanding talent around him. I think the Chargers are one of the least talented offensive in the league last year. And the fact that he played that well with a scheme change and all the moving parts around him, which seems to be his whole career, is just scheme change and moving parts. Yeah. The fact that they finally solidified what they want to be as a team, and he just fit that bill. And the playoff game was dreadful. And if he didn't have a bad playoff game,
if
he didn't have a bad playoff game, he's probably up a little bit higher for some of us.
I'm gonna be honest with you, he's a lot higher on my list. If they won that playoff game, he's in the top 5 easily.
And he was just dreadful. He threw 4 interceptions for the entire season, and then threw 4 in that game.
Yeah.
It was totally out of nowhere. Like it's like the Texans just had a bell on him.
Hit receivers as well. So
like fortune sometimes doesn't doesn't go in your favor.
If it ain't your day, it ain't your day.
Yeah,
you look at the stats now and you're like, oh, he threw 4 picks, but then 2 of them came off receiver hands, and you're like, oh, come on, man. Like,
yeah, I just
Brock like for that?
I think I was trying to say a phrase and I got lost halfway through it.
He keeps saying fortune favors the brave. He's been saying it for the past 2 weeks.
He hates it.
And it just makes me think of a fucking Matt Damon ad from 3 years ago. That's all it is.
Oh, it was that shitty crypto ad that he was doing?
Yes.
I never seen it.
Yes.
Fortune favors the brave, man. Get on crypto. Lose all your money.
Yeah.
Or make it all. I don't know. Depends on who you are.
No, you lose it all. I know a guy who's lost like 200 grand in the last 2 years.
Oh, do you know Billy?
Yes, I do know Billy, but that's not who I was referring to.
No, so I think we all had Herbert kind of around the same mark. I think we all feel pretty similar about him.
He'll be in the top 5 when we do this list next year. He'll be in the top 5.
Yeah,
Chargers are set for a
all
good
right.
year.
Get us down to number 5 on the list. He came in just above Herbert on 21 points, and that's Jordan Love. Jordan Love, and that Scotty had him at 4.
Yep.
I had him at 7. George had him at 7. Brock had him at 5. So again, a little bit of disparity. I'm high on Love. I don't think I've seen enough to put him at 4 on the list. I think we'll talk about guys later that you had over him, but I think 4's a little high. 7's probably a little low, but I just think there's 6 guys that are much better than him and have had more evidence on the board that they're much better than him. And it doesn't help that Love didn't play his first 3 seasons. So he's really only going into his 4th season now as an NFL starting quarterback, which is incredible. And he's really good. His arm talent is maybe the best pure arm talent in the NFL. He has a cannon. He's extremely accurate. He throws off multiple. He can throw off any platform,
any angle.
Yeah, and he hasn't had.
I'm
again,
just thinking, who's got better arm talent?
Maybe
in the NFL
Herbert.
right now.
Maybe.
Herbert would be up there.
Herbert, like I think people sleep on
Burrow.
Josh Allen's arm talent.
Yeah.
Josh Allen's
but I
arm
think-
talent is
Yeah, but I think Love's
phenomenal.
more accurate.
I think Love's got a bigger arm than Allen as well. I would say he'd have the best he's the best passer in the league, Jordan Love. I don't think that's a stretch to say that at this point.
I'm not going to disagree with
I
that.
think Penix might be up there.
Penix is the smoothest throw of the football.
Yeah.
Like his
I think whistles.
his release is
very
unreal.
small sample space.
And you notice it more because he's left-handed as well. It
Yeah.
just looks different, but it got it smooth.
Remember, like when
I
Vic
just
used to
think-
let it rip. Too far,
Oh,
things
it's
come out
so
like a laser,
clean.
man.
Yeah.
The reason why I had Love at 4 is I think the scheme's going to be completely unlocked with Matthew Golden.
Sure.
You give him that genuine deep threat where he can just unload these bombs and just uncork it. I think that the running game's
Josh Jacobs. Sorry, not
Josh Jacobs.
Always say Brandon Jacobs.
Yeah.
If you watch his career, it's always good, bad, good, bad, good,
Yep.
bad. So I'm sort of following that trend, and then there's going to be more on Green Bay to throw the ball. A tough division, so they're going to have to really put points up to win.
Yep.
And I think I really rate LaFleur as a coordinator / head coach.
Stuff it in your cram hole, LaFleur.
It's cramming in your
Cram it in your cram hole, LaFleur.
Great. That's
Can we get that drop every time we talk about LaFleur, Brocky? That's
And-
your homework for the week.
Done.
And I think I just think the stars have just aligned for this season for him to announce himself as a top 5 quarterback. So that's why I've put him at 4 and dropped someone down that we'll talk about later.
The pieces are there. He's just got to make it happen. And I think the main issue is he's got to stay healthy. If he stays healthy, I think you're right.
Yeah, and again,
Yeah.
we should credit him for playing that division because no one plays against better teams than Jordan Love, than anyone in that North.
Even the Bears, even last year, they were a 4 and what?
The Bears defense was very
Bears
good
defense
last year.
was
Extremely
very
good.
consistent all year.
Yeah. And the Lions defense was obviously what it was, even with injuries. It was still very good.
Minnesota's defense.
And Minnesota's
had
defense was one of the
everyone.
best in the league.
Yeah.
So they had to play, that's 6 games against really good defenses, which hurts statistically and, aesthetically and all that sort of stuff. I think we'll go to it was Love number 5. Sorry, I've got lost my spot. Yeah.
Love
So
5.
number 4, we have Patrick Mahomes. And again, just to get the record straight, he's 10 points higher than Jordan Love. And that might be a little bit due to me. So
you had him number 1.
Scotty had him at 5. George had him at 4. Brock had him at 3.
I'm going to cop some hate for this because I love Mahomes too. But
I had him at number 1.
Why do you like Mahomes?
he's just a winner. He's a winner.
He's a fucking.
How do you love Hurts for being a winner and hate Mahomes for being a winner?
That's why I picked that.
No, I just hate him.
3
Yeah,
Super
but you
Bowls.
just don't like him because he beat you guys in the Super
No,
Bowl
it's got
off a
nothing-
ref call.
Yeah, well, that's part of it.
That's a big part of it.
Well, I mean, yeah, but
And let's just keep this football related, not personal.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'll stop talking.
You just don't like him.
No, I just don't like him.
Yeah, but you also had him at 4, which is no slouch. The reason I had him at 1 was
Yeah, his talent's undeniable. I just don't like him, bro.
he is at the start of last season, everyone would have had him at number 1. He lost his wide receiver at the start of the year to a knee injury. Rice.
Yeah.
He had Marquise Brown, who they bought in, didn't do a preseason, didn't play till midway through the season, kept losing guys. Kelsey fell off a cliff. Their O-line's bad, yet he still. They won a lot of games. I agree. They out-won their talent. I agree with that. But a lot of that was due. Yeah, they did. They won a lot of games. But how many times when the game was on the line did Mahomes just go and win it?
That's very true. Yeah.
And I just don't think there's if I've got gun to my head, a quarterback has to score against the best defense in football, and if they don't score, I'm going to shoot you. I'm taking Mahomes. So I think he's the best chance to do it. And
I'm taking Lamar or Allen.
Well, we can talk about them in a minute.
Well,
but
it depends.
Mahomes,
Hang on a minute.
Is it a playoff game?
Who's calling the plays though? Because if it's Andy Reid calling the plays, I'll probably agree with you. And that's kind of my point: is that a lot of his success needs to be attributed to Andy Reid.
I agree, but you have Hurts up the board saying that he's a top 5 quarterback, and then you're punishing Mahomes for playing with Andy Reid.
I'm not punishing him. He's top. I've got him 4th.
Sorry, but you're
punishing him, and purely that's because of his play, which he had like a down year last year,
and it was still a really good year.
Yeah, so that's why he's 4th.
And that's why I had him at 1, because if I think all cards on the table, we're drafting a team, and my team, the JA Agronauts, has the first pick in the draft.
Agronauts? Yeah,
I don't know what that meant. It's a Madden created team. It's been there for years.
I think you mean Argonauts.
Argonauts, what do they do?
It's definitely Argonauts. They're ships.
They're
ships. No. The Argonauts were Jason's crew.
So it's not an old...
Argo's a ship.
So it's not an old wooden ship from the old days.
Moving on.
Jason and the fleet.
San Diego.
San Diego. I just think if I had to pick a guy, I would find it extremely hard to not pick Mahomes right now.
I think anyone inside of my top, well, I love probably not number one, but you could make any argument for Allen, Lamar, Burrow, and Mahomes.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, yeah, you're right. They should be number one.
Yeah, and he's only
There's
a
not
couple
that
of
much.
points. He's
There's
only a
not that
couple
much
of
for
behind.
me.
He's only a couple of points behind. I think he's 1 point behind Burrow at 3. And then like Allen was a bit of a runaway, which we'll talk about soon. But
I mean, yeah, that's not.
Burrow
that's pretty
comes
close.
in at 3 at 32. George, you had him at 1. Scroll us up, Rocky. You had him at 1.
Yep.
I had him at 4. Scotty had him at 3. Brock had him at 4. It's again, it seems like having him at 4 and you having him at 1 seems outrageous, but I could easily hear an argument where you could convince me to swap Mahomes and Burrow around. You know, like they're just so good.
I've been saying that Burrow's the best quarterback in the league for 3 years. So
Do you think, and I think we talked about this the other day, Scotty, do you think that his situation, having Jamar Chase, who's the best, one of the best receivers in football with only a couple other guys comparing with him.
sure.
And then Higgins
is one or two.
Yeah, and Higgins is, I don't think there's many teams have a better number 2 than T. Higgins. I think he's
sure.
probably the best second receiver with Devontae Smith in the league, right? Devontae Smith, you could always consider a 1 and AJ Brown a 2 if you want. But I think that those two guys are so impactful for him. He's got that opportunity where he can just throw it up to Jamar Chase and he makes freak plays for him.
Yeah.
That's why I had him at 4 and not at 1 like you had him, because I think the offense, it highlights that he's a bit better than maybe what he is, because the years where they've not had that offensive talent, he hasn't been nearly as good.
Yeah.
But as we talk, it's a symbiotic relationship, the offense. You need everyone.
You need 11 guys playing well.
100%.
And if his O-line could block for another 2 more seconds, he'd be a Super Bowl champion.
100%.
Or just block.
If they could just scheme
Yeah.
2 guys to
Anything.
block Aaron Donald.
Just
and
cut the fucking guy. What are you doing, man?
I would have preferred to lose to a guy going unblocked and have 3 guys blocking Aaron Donald than to let Aaron Donald do what he did in that Super Bowl. That was a coach's failure.
Yeah.
Andy Reid would have never done that. He would have never failed in that.
Probably would
regard.
have thrown his screen, to be fair.
Yes, true. And the worst was that Jalen Ramsey had fallen over, and it was going to be
It was literally like a walking touchdown.
the
A walking
shit-
walk-off touchdown.
The
is what it
shit
would
that
have been.
Jalen Ramsey would have copped for blowing that and losing the Super Bowl would have just been an outstanding.
That might have been his
storyline.
career, which would have been outstanding because I can't stand that bastard.
No, he's good.
I'm not saying he's
very
not
good
good.
footballer.
I'm not saying he's not good. I just can't stand him.
No, he's a bit over the top. I actually don't have any issue with Jalen Ramsey.
he's
I
good.
think he's
No,
all
I
right.
don't like him.
His post-game interview, was the zesty one, was one of the best interviews you'll ever see.
All right, number 2.
Number 2 is Lamar Jackson on 35 points. Scotty had him at 2. I had him at 3. George had him at 3. And Brocky had him at 1. No secrets there. Brocky, tell us your story. Why is he the best quarterback in the NFL?
Because he can do everything.
Yep.
Yes, he doesn't win like George's criteria ask him to do. He doesn't win playoff games,
Well,
but he can run with the ball. He's a
wins
2-time
lot, in
MVP.
fairness. He wins a lot. He just doesn't win playoff games.
He scrambles. He makes plays out of nothing. He is one of the guys that will go down the league history as one of the greatest quarterbacks.
I think so too. I think that the fact that we all kind of had him in the
Not
top
without
3 in such a tight race.
Shut up, Scotty.
He's
But
he's-
in fairness to him, he's won a lot of football games.
Yeah,
he's
of course he
just,
has.
unfortunately,
I
he
just
has to play against Lamar
I
or he has
disagree
to play
with-
against Allen or Mahomes every year.
I disagree with Brock's point. He's not going to go down as one of the greatest ever unless he wins a
That's
championship.
what I was saying, yeah.
I disagree. I think if he plays at the level he plays at now for 10 more years
You reckon
and
it'll be
never
like a
wins a
Dan
Super Bowl.
Marino?
Yeah, is Dan Marino one of the best ever?
Yeah.
He never won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that it's like we shouldn't use that as a criteria for ranking him now, because that's why I have him at 3, not at 1. If he won a Super Bowl last year, he's the number 1 quarterback in football.
Sure.
He's on everyone's number 1. None of us are sitting here going, oh, well, he hasn't won. That's the only criticism he gets. My point is, in fairness to him, he does win a lot of football games, because to lose playoff games, you've got to be in the playoffs every year.
That's true. That's why we've all
And
got him top 3.
Exactly. And I think everyone discredits regular seasons so openly that it's such a massive chunk of this. You have to credit guys that are consistently in the playoffs, because to lose playoff games, you have to be there. And yeah, he's had some shockers. He should have won last year. Mark Andrews dropped a football. He did nothing wrong in that game. The year before, they had a against the Chiefs. Zay Flowers fumbled going in for a touchdown and turned it over. They scored out there. Like, not everything is his fault. the Ravens as a team need to get over the hump. And I think just throwing that on Lamar and saying it's his fault. I know quarterbacks get all the credit and then all the discredit.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah,
but that's part of it.
I think it's an unfair playing field. I agree with Brocky. I think if he plays at this level for 10 more years, he will go down as one of the greatest quarterbacks ever. I just hope it's not. He's one of the greatest quarterbacks ever to not win a Super Bowl. I hope he's won 2 Super Bowls. He's won a Super Bowl. And he's one of the best quarterbacks.
At the moment, he's in that territory, though.
Unfortunately, that's
Purely,
what everyone looks at it as.
And unfortunately, like some of those things are out of his control in terms of like whether he wins a chip or not. There's a lot of it he can't control. Like, yeah, he's played at a really high level for a number of years, and as you said, won a lot of games and been in playoff spots and been in spots to win playoff games. But man, sometimes you just got to fucking get it done.
It just doesn't work out sometimes, unfortunately. Yeah. And I hope we're not talking about. I hope that isn't the narrative of his career. That God, how did it just not? That's Dan Marino's narrative. It's like God, he was one of the best players ever, but how did he not just get a Super Bowl? How did not everything just go his way one year and get a Super Bowl?
Because they're fucking hard to win, man.
They are. They're very.
Just as a quick side note while we're on it, say there's a repeat again this year of last season.
Yep.
They make a divisional round or lose badly in an AFC Championship game.
Yep.
Is that time on Harbaugh?
Yes.
They got to move on from
We've
Harbaugh.
already said that.
Yeah.
They have to, right?
Yeah, I think so. Because at that point you've got a fresh change.
Yeah, I'm firmly on that.
They've recommitted to him this year to show the team and the world that we're committed to Harbaugh. But you can, as we know, coaches get hired to be fired. It's been
Brock, would you be say there's a repeat? Would you be happy with that if they moved on from Harbaugh at the end of this upcoming season?
As long as there's a plan in place, yes.
Yeah.
I don't want to just hire the next guru to come out. I want someone that actually wants to run Ravens football and be the Ravens culture.
Ravens football is not getting anywhere.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. You got to get something different. I agree with you, Scott, 100%.
Yeah, I think they will.
For 15 minutes.
Yeah, we've had this discussion on and off air, but Ravens football isn't just about what we play on the field. It's our culture we actually have in the clubhouse. And yes, we've had Justin Tucker issues.
Shout out Tucker.
It starts with Ozzie Newsom.
Yes,
he's the ringleader.
Ozzie and Eric DaCosta.
Yeah. So I agree. I said I don't think any of us are unfair where we have Lamar. I don't think Brock's stupid to have him at 1. I don't think any of us are dumb to have him at 3 and 2. Like we all obviously think of him very highly.
He's easily.
It's just going to be interesting how it plays out.
It's just a little bit disappointing this year with all the talent they have. That's the only. And like leading into that game, we all said, someone's going to have to lose this game. And then after the game with the Bills, it was like, well, it's not really his fault. Sure, he had the fumble and the pick, but there was a drop catch that would have tied the game. So he did, and against the Chiefs as well, he did bring him back from a 10-point deficit, and it was the same thing against the Bills. So
Flowers fumbled on the goal line.
That's what but like
he's never had a stinker and actually just thrown 200 yards and 5 picks and lost the game for the Ravens.
I think they call that a Herbert in the big leagues.
Yeah, they're always in the game because we have Lamar Jackson.
Yes. As long as I have Lamar as their quarterback, and it's the same when we're going to talk about the number 1 guy as well. As long as you have Lamar on your team, you are a Super Bowl contender. It's simple as that. Like, and that gets us to our number 1 guy who was almost unanimous. Scotty had Josh Allen 1. I had him 2. George had him 2. And Brock had him 2.
George had him 3.
No, he had Allen 2.
Oh, my bad. I was
you
looking
muted
at
us and you got it wrong.
Can you switch your fucking brain on, Brock?
Wow.
It's his favourite line
yourself,
too.
George.
Like George didn't say it.
Fuck you, George.
Why fuck me for? That gives it Josh Allen. He got it with 37 points, so 2 points higher than Lamar. Again, from Allen to Mahomes, it was 31 points, 37. So the top 4 were all really close with each other. Allen, I just think MVP last year. The fact that the talent they got rid of last season and what Josh Allen was still able to do, it makes you think that he could almost play with no talent and still be the best quarterback in the NFL because his skill set is just remarkable. Remarkable skill set. The guy that big, that accurate, that big an arm. He loves running the football. He's not afraid to run the football. He'll run for a first down.
Why should he be afraid? He's fucking enormous.
But like quarterback, this is the thing with quarterbacks. So there's plenty of quarterbacks that are big and fast that don't want to run because they want to protect that. They don't want to get hurt. All that sort of stuff.
Sure.
Josh Allen's just like, I'll run till someone breaks me.
Yeah.
Simple as that. And I respect that. I respect a strong farm white boy that's
country boy mentality.
That's just getting after it.
The reason why I had him number 1 was just for me, for the top 3, I looked at it as a defensive coordinator. How will I stop these guys? And for me and Lamar, I felt like if you kept Lamar in the pocket, you're taking away some of his strengths and you're forcing him. I'm not saying he's not an accurate thrower and he's not a good quarterback, but I'm just saying that you can scheme him into a situation where you can win the game.
And he's less comfortable.
Yes. And I think with Allen, you just can't scheme against him. He's just
Because he can sit in the pocket at 6'7" and just zip it around if you have to.
and like if you corral him in the pocket and you don't have a spy, he'll just run right up the middle.
Yeah.
Like
which he did plenty of.
And then if it's 3rd and 1, like cool, Josh Allen's running a sneak. Guess where it's going? Like
yeah.
Except they couldn't get it done in the championship game.
Well, he did. The refs sort of.
No, well, he didn't get it done.
He didn't get it done.
He should have got an extra yard. It sucks.
Yes, yeah.
But that's if you leave it in the hands of the refs, you know,
bang,
you're in peril.
And I just feel like
you got to be undeniable.
Yeah.
You got to be up 40-6.
There it is.
And
Who was up 40-6?
The Eagles were.
Oh, okay. I've forgotten
and
about that.
I feel like
you don't worry.
Hang on, was Kenny Pickett up 40-6?
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it was Kenny Pickett.
Super Bowl champion. Why isn't Kenny Pickett in the top 10? He was a Super Bowl champion.
I feel like
we put our backups in the fourth quarter.
Shut up! No one cares anymore.
I care.
I feel like Allen did much more with much less talent than anyone else on this list.
Yeah, very fair. That's very fair.
So
Especially
I
offensively,
think that if we're just purely ranking quarterbacks, that outweighs anything else. And also, they shelved him because they had games in hand, and he played less quarters than anyone else there. And
Very true.
So
his stats could have been through the roof if he'd played.
Yeah,
he sat out so many fourth quarters.
I think they said he missed
12.
12 quarters.
Wow.
4, 8.
That's
12. It's
three
three
whole
games.
Yep.
3 full games he missed.
Yep.
So it's a lot. It's a lot of stats
That's
over
a
a
crazy
season.
stat, man.
You know, you
Yeah.
at minimum, what are you looking at? Probably 800 yards and probably 100 on the ground and maybe 6 tutties.
5 or
Yeah,
6,
something like that. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then if you take that as an overall, you look at Allen and you go, this is no contest.
Yeah.
With Kean Coleman, who isn't a bad player, but where is he on all these teams? Like, is he the 3rd best receiver on some of these teams?
He would definitely be the 3rd on the Eagles. He'd definitely be the 3rd on the Chiefs. He'd definitely be the 3rd on the Ravens. He'd
And
probably be the starter at the
Cincinnati.
Chargers.
Yeah.
He'd be starting right there at the Chargers.
Yeah.
But
So, like that, to my point, like, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? He's his number one guy who didn't have a bad year for a rookie, but he's the 3rd best guy on 7 of these teams.
yeah, I think a guy that doesn't get enough flowers at Buffalo was Shakir. I think
Yes.
he
Yes.
was
Well,
so good
he
last
was-
year.
You know, that's actually unfair for me. He was probably their number one, and he had a very good year.
He just doesn't fit the bill of that number one guy because he's a slot.
Smallest.
Yeah,
slot
he's a smaller slot guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, he had an amazing year. But I said, I think we were all so impressed. I almost felt proud of Josh Allen last year that I think when we did our prediction show, which you were there, Scotty, we both had him to win MVP.
Yeah.
And it was like everyone was kind of like, oh, they've taken away so much talent. I think we had the same narrative of no. They are hedging their bets. All chips are on the table on Josh Allen's cards.
Yeah.
And they are playing this
And if
out.
the
And
Bills are
it
good-
paid off for him.
Josh Allen goes into fuck you mode and he's MVP.
Yeah,
That's
taking
sort of how it
taking away the talent sort of made him look better than him as
Yeah.
well.
It just highlighted how good he was,
Yeah,
and they took
that's the
some.
word.
They took some issues. They took some issues out of that building.
Yeah.
They took some
Yeah.
issues out of that building with Stephon Diggs, who didn't like Josh Allen. And I've never heard nobody's ever not liked Josh Allen.
Well, he's a bit of a diva. So I think
But Diggs is. I thought you meant Allen for a
So
second.
they were best mates until he wasn't actually getting every target.
yeah.
And that's when the issue started.
when Josh Allen actually started playing quarterback and throwing to the right read.
the
guy
open
who's
open receiver, yes,
Yeah.
instead of a 2-on-1.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's it for our top tens. We'll post I'll post our individual top tens and then our composite top 10. It's a fun little exercise. I like doing top tens. We've done them for so long.
Hang on, are you making the graphic?
And
Yeah, I'm gonna make the graphics. It's gonna be red on black.
It won't be readable.
obviously let us know how we got it wrong and how, you know, your team's quarterback should be in there. We would definitely love to have a debate about it because there's probably, you know,
And
5 or 6 guys that could be top 10 quarterbacks.
Yes,
So,
and shoot us a message because our plan is when we're going to do top tens every week for a few weeks. Shoot us a message of what we missed because we'll actually next week we'll recap if we missed a guy.
Yep.
'Cause I don't know about you guys. When I finished my top 10, I felt good with it. I kept going back through the quarterbacks in the league, and like, have I missed just a really obvious dude here? Like Peyton Manning still playing, and he's the 5th quarterback.
For me, I had Baker and I tried to get Baker in, but I just yeah.
Just couldn't do it.
I changed my number 10 guy like 4 times before I said it to you. So yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's good fun. That's why I like the composite, because the composite kind of gives you
Gets it right.
it gets it right, sort of
Good
that top
aggregate,
10.
I'd tell you what would have been harder going from 10 to 15. That would have been harder than the top 10, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, that's throw mud at the wall
That's a
or whatever
shit show.
sticks.
Yeah, because then you got guys like Caleb Williams, Daniels, Gino,
Kirk Cousins.
Purdy, Kirk Cousins, obviously.
I thought Cousins was top 5.
Well, I think Brock had Penix number 1 because he beat out a top 5 quarterback to take his spot.
That's how it works. You beat the champ, you are the champ.
Yeah.
You can't argue with the logic.
So that's why Hurts is the top 5. Bang.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Fuck, I shouldn't have gave him
But
that
you know what? In fairness, though, you having Hurts at 5 and us having kind of like I probably had him at 12, 11 or 12 or 13, somewhere in there. If I did my full list, it's probably fair he's sitting around 10 for the composite of what the league is.
Sure.
It's probably a fair spot. I don't think there'd be. Tell us if you are. If there's many people that don't think Jalen Hurts is the 10th best quarterback in the league, I think that's a pretty fair spot for him.
That's probably.
I think, and you know what? I
told you I inflated it because he won the Super Bowl and he won the MVP.
And I probably could have squeezed into my top 10 if I didn't want to be a spiteful piece of shit.
That's okay. You
But
can do that.
I know who I am.
Yeah, no.
And when,
Self-awareness.
and when you sent me your list and he was 5, I was even more sure I was putting him outside the top 10. But he probably fell, in fairness, where he's at.
That's probably about.
Yeah.
you could argue 3 guys to be in the 10th spot, or you could argue Hurts to be in the 10th spot. I'll listen to your argument and go, yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah.
He's the 10th guy.
Like guys like Stafford missing out on even getting talked about. Like Stafford's a really good football player. He's just old. Like, he's just. Yeah. I don't think he's going to have an amazing season next year. So I looked at him and thought, Kyler Murray's an interesting one. Like Kyler Murray's probably in that 10 to 15. Yeah. Again, then you're getting the Caleb Williams, Bo Nix, that sort of area where you kind of talking about a lot. That the 10 to 20 is a very interesting conversation and a tougher one. Yeah, because it's a very quarterback-rich NFL right now. There's a lot of teams with very good quarterbacks.
Jalen Milroe's probably in the top 10.
Well, I wanted AR-15 at 1, but I didn't want to have the Georges walk out. You know,
I did send that to you. That if I put AR-15 at 5, what do you reckon happens on the show?
Stop.
I would say that Anthony Richardson is closer to 5
than
Hurts is top 10. All right, everybody. That's it for the show. Shoot us plenty of responses. Give us some messages.
Please,
comment on the clip.
do.
Shout out to Dave from Sporting Globe, Churnside Park. George missed one thing out of his extensive intro, which was shouting out our sponsor.
Oh, okay. I
Thanks
didn't realize that was on me. Sorry.
We're going to lose money on that now.
No, we're going to lose so many vouchers.
That's all right.
So many Palmers are going to go missing
I'll call
now.
Jay's dad. He's rich.
Whoa!
Hey.
So's Brock's dad.
Is he?
Yeah, I think so. Anyway, shout out Tommy, absolute legend. Guys, we'll see you next week. Peace out. Ciao. Peace out, everyone.
Peace out.
Thank you.
I hope the Eagles lose on a call.